Explorers, today we are going to be making a sketchbook out of a simple Pop-Tarts box. All you are going to need are the supplies in the previous slide, and you are going to definitely need a Pop-Tart box, which we can find pretty much anywhere. The first thing that you guys are going to be doing is taking your Pop-Tarts box apart. So it doesn't really matter how clean it is, just find that seam on the side and rip it apart. You are not going to need it. You are going to be cutting on these lines, and make sure that you follow this direction closely, okay? Because we want to preserve that middle seam. So all we are going to be doing is cutting around the edge. If you want to get creative, you can use these scraps for something else. So maybe create a button or cut words out of these. Maybe you want to create an envelope or some kind of area to hold something. You can make tabs out of these scraps. So you don't have to throw away the scraps, you can repurpose them. The next thing we're going to be doing is figuring out how we want to cover our Pop-Tarts box. So how we're going to cover our sketchbook. We can use gift wrap, scrapbook paper, fabric, paint, whatever you want to use. We're going to glue one side first, and then I'm going to choose what kind of paper I want to cover mine with. So I'm going to go for the warm color, rainbow, and I'm going to gently place it on the side, lining it up, and then I'm going to rub it really good, and I'm even going to use my scissors to burnish it. So I really want the paper stuck down to the sketchbook. Then I fold it over, and I'm going to be folding that paper very carefully over onto the other side so everything lines up really nice and you have a nice fold for the spine of your sketchbook. Then what you are going to do is the same process. Put on a nice layer of glue, and then you are going to fold down your other side, pressing really hard on the paper, and if you want, use your scissors to burnish that paper onto the sketchbook. Then we are going to cut off any kind of excess paper. We can always fix the shape of the sketchbook later if one page may be a little bit longer than the other ones, but for now we just want to cut off the excess and make sure everything looks good. For my mini sketchbook, all I'm using is copy paper. You can use whatever kind of paper you want, and you're going to fold it in half and then just rip that seam. It's okay if it has a fuzzy edge. You guys can cut that off later. Then I fold that half into a fourth and make sure I have a really nice crease. And then what I'm going to be doing is measuring 1 inch in on the side that is not folded. Because if you do this on the wrong edge, then you're just going to have two pieces of paper that you can't use. So I'm measuring 1 inch from the side, marking it, and then I'm going to be connecting those two dots and drawing a line. Then I just turn the page around and I'm going to measure 1/2 inch. This is going to be so I can fit my pages in my sketchbook and it actually fits. Now what you're going to do is just cut those lines to create your sketchbook pages, and then we are going to be using this page as a template for our other pages so they all fit nicely into our sketchbooks. You're going to be taking the one you just cut and then placing it on top of your other pages that you've done, and then we are going to cut around that edge. This is going to ensure that when your sketchbook is closed and folded that you don't have pages randomly just sticking out. So make sure all of your sketchbook pages stay in this, and then you are going to be doing this to all of your pages. So making sure that you put your new page in your old pages that you've cut, and just continue doing that for however many pages you want to do. The next thing you're going to want to do is attach your pages to your sketchbook cover. What I'm doing is making sure that my pages stay intact with a clip, and then I'm going to just staple the pages on the back. If you want to get really fancy, you can poke a couple holes through the spine instead and run embroidery floss through it and tie a knot. That's another way you can do your binding. So now what I'm going to be doing is adding my decorations. You can stop at this point. You don't have to add decorations. I'm a scrapbooker, so I have a lot of extra things. So this had an extra button in it, so I'm going to attach that on the inside just for a little extra storage. It fills up the space, and I'm just going to think about what else I want to add to it. When it comes to using glue, I typically use Elmer's Craft Bond just because I do feel like it adheres a lot better. I use these for my scrapbook pages, but Scotch Brand also has a really nice craft glue that's a liquid. You can always use hot glue to add your embellishments. And I'm also adding washi tape, and then I'm going to be closing it with a clip. If you like this tutorial, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Use hashtag WhatBlueMadeMeDo to share your creations. You can find me at Etsy, Instagram, and pretty much everywhere. Happy exploring!